season. But we begin starting off right here in the Lone Star State, because where else are we going to start? When you have the opportunity to bring up one of the biggest and brightest names in college football, one of the more polarizing fixtures in all of the professional era, you got to talk about Deion Sanders. Not only was this a game that was circled on the calendar for weeks on end, not only was this a game that people were elated to watch because of it was a new era in Boulder, Colorado. Deion Sanders, an unconventional coach, guy who comes from the media background, not really known for his coaching style, wins at Jackson State and Colorado. But Rick George wants to make a huge staple of a hire. So they swing big and they add in a guy who certainly is unconventional when it comes to his coaching style, when he's unorthodox, when it comes to his demeanor on how to handle players. And everybody was waiting to see how it all was going to unfold. If you watched Fox, any bit of Fox Sports, you knew that this game had to be in favor of Deion. And so many people were waiting to say, I told you so. I told you so. All hype, no bite. And the hype actually ended up living up to it. Let's go back and recap the sounds from Amon G. Carter Stadium this past weekend.
Second down at 10 for the 25. There's a swing pass out of the backfield of the screen, caught by Dylan Edwards. He's got men in front of him, running at the 30 to the near sideline, to the 35-40, up the sideline. Here he goes! 35 on his way to the end zone. 15-10, 5, touchdown! Dylan Edwards in at running back. Shador takes a snap, dropping to throw, swinging out of the backfield, caught by Dylan. First down, 40, 35, down the sideline, 35, steps out of a tackle, 10, 5, end zone, touchdown!
A lot of guys you doubted. One of them from HBCU. I think he had 510 yards passing in a Power 5 football game, and he happened to be my son, and I'm proud of him tremendously.
I mean, I knew we was going to do this. The scoreboard just telling y'all that, that's what's going on, but y'all ain't believe, nobody believed that we was going to do this. So we was fighting two battles, I'll say, for the team. I get off social media personally and let my brother Deion Jr., the Well-Off Media account, let him run it in my YouTube. I let him run that stuff. But I'm locked in. I'm focused. I'm not listening to what everybody's saying.
So that, of course, was the audio presented to you by Buffalo Sports Radio. That was Deion Sanders and Shador Sanders postgame discussing a 45-42 upset. Colorado kicks off the season, lives up to the hype, and beats number 17 TCU in its own backyard. Let's just go ahead and bring it back to last season real fast. Let's just bring you back to how the year unfolded. TCU, the little engine that could, the team under a brand new coaching staff with a veteran core, makes its way to the college football playoff. They defeat Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl. And then, unfortunately, they get curb stomped by the two-time national champions in Georgia. But that team played for a national title. The Horned Frogs, not the exact same team, because of when you lose Max Duggan, you lose Quentin Johnston, you lose Trey Tomlinson, a bunch of other defensive players, and you lose your offensive coordinator in Garrett Riley, it's not the same team. But still, a lot of people out there believe that this was a game that Deion Sanders was going to finally be humbled. He was going to have to, unfortunately, bend the knee to what college football is, because he handled things completely differently than everyone else out there. Here's the bottom line. Doesn't matter what Deion thinks, doesn't matter what I think, doesn't matter what you think. As long as there's belief inside that locker room, they can do whatever they want. And they did. Plain and simple. There's no other way to put it. If you were to tell me that last season TCU was the one facing off against Georgia and Colorado went 1-11, I would have completely been perplexed. Because if I just woke up from a coma and that was the very first game that I saw, my first inclination would go, man, Colorado looks really good. How'd they not win the national title last year? And then, of course, my thought would go to what happened with the likes of TCU. They're too good to be a 1-11 team, but they are good enough to probably be one of the better teams, but not good enough to be a national championship contender. That's what belief does for you. That's what culture does for you. And that's what buy-in absolutely does for a program. And everyone's bought into Deion in Boulder, Colorado. Players, coaches, fans everywhere have said that this team has something special. And we heard about it. We heard about it from the second that Deion touched down in the likes of the mountainside. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and handle things my way. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do things the way that I see fit. A lot of you guys that are on this roster right now, don't get too comfortable because you went 1-11 last year, and I'm bringing in my own luggage, and it's Louis. And you know what? That Louis luggage was phenomenal. Now, a lot of people out there are probably going to say, why are you not chastising Deion Sanders this morning? Plain simple. It's kind of hard to, because when you do what you do and you handle your business the way that you do, you get all the flowers. You get all the accolades. And he goes afterwards in the postgame and calls out reporters and says, do you believe? Do you believe? He did that throughout the entire time leading up to the season, telling every single reporter on a radio interview, in a press conference, do you believe in what we have going? And you know what? Doesn't really matter if we believed, because he did and the players did. But what I found really interesting about this game was how conventionally sound this team played. And that's a factor that goes into every little bit of detail, every little bit of practice, every little bit of continuity and consistency and chemistry. And they had that. From Deion Sanders throwing for a school record of 510 yards and 4 touchdowns. From a guy like Dylan Edwards, a player who wasn't supposed to be at Colorado. He was committed to Notre Dame. He was going to be in the backfield with Sam Hartman and on Marcus Freeman's staff as they were looking to make their push for the CFP. And he finished with 24 rushing yards and a touchdown, but he really shined when it came to the passing attack. 5 catches, 135 yards, 3 touchdowns. Travis Hunter is just an absolute unicorn of a player. Very few players in college football can do what Travis Hunter does at an elite level. And you know what's really crazy is if you go back and you watch that tape and you say, okay, well, he finished with 11 catches for 115 yards, 10.8 yards per play, had about 3 tackles, big-time interception, and a few pass breakups, you would say, well, what side is he able to play on? He would go to any other school in the country, and he would be told probably you're going to play on one side of the football because we're not going to waste 114 snaps on you. Post-game, he says, you know what? I feel good. I can do that again. I can go play right now. So he's earned every single ice bath, every single stem cell treatment, every single bit of rest and relaxation going into week 2. But you know he's not going to. You know he wants to get right back out on the field and start wheeling and dealing right away. The soundness of this team, the least amount of panic in their voice when things went haywire. This is why you actually can start to understand why Colorado had such an intriguing game. It's not because they ended up winning this matchup, and it's not because they beat up on a top 25 team. That's one thing. But it's at some point, you have to realize that bad teams or teams that don't really have this conventional belief or chemistry or culture, they'll find a way to fall apart. And right after the blocked field goal, that's a moment where you say, okay, this is where Colorado comes back down to reality. Congratulations on a hot start. We'll see what you can do in week 2. Nope, never panicked, never got under the pressure, never worried about what TCU was doing. They wheeled, they dealed, they delivered. That's exactly the case of how this thing panned out. And because of it, Colorado's sitting at 1-0. The way that Deion got this team to not only buy in so quickly, but the way he also got them playing as one mind, one sound, one unit is probably the most impressive part about all of this. Because if it takes time to build a roster, it takes time to be able to find your continuity and chemistry and belief. It takes minutes, months, games, live reps for that matter, before you actually see it unfold. And he got it done in the summer. And the reason why it's hard to believe that this happened is because we've never seen it before in college football. But now that there is a formula that this does work, there's a reason why Colorado might be one of those big teams that you're going to be seeing for the next few years really turn into something promising. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.